Welcome to another episode of the Doctor's Take on Aesthetics. I'm your host, Dr. Josh Wall, and this is our 5th episode. And today we have a very special guest. We have Nurse Ashley with us. Thanks for joining the show.
Thanks for having me.
It's my pleasure. Now, I thought what we talk about today is nursing in aesthetics. How did you get into it? I mean, what made you want to get into it first?
So I was always into beauty. I was a dancer my whole life, and I always was conscious of how I looked and how I presented, and then I was really into aesthetics as well. So once I graduated from high school, I went straight into my Bachelor of Nursing, which is 3 years. And whilst working or studying, I was working with a plastic surgeon. So that was actually my first job. And I was doing reception, then I was a practice manager, and then I was seeing pre and post-operative patients. We then I went into a few non-surgical treatments, which we were trained with the companies. This was all whilst I was studying my nursing degree.
What kind of non-surgical treatments?
So we would do Morpheus 8, laser, Genesis. We had a Q-switch laser. We had ultraformers. Yeah, cool. We had the plasma pen, which we removed like skin tags, or we did the fibroblast non-surgical blephs.
Yes.
So it was a few treatments, and this was, I don't know how I did it, but I was working and studying full-time for 3 years. But I did it because we had to do 860 hours of placement, to be precise, which I loved. So going into nursing, I did it because I knew I wanted to become a cosmetic nurse. Okay. So I already had known this, but whilst doing my placements, I enjoyed being, obviously, in the hospital, in the community. It was frowned upon, though, saying that you were studying just to do cosmetics. So I hid it. So a lot of my lecturers in my tutorials, they would go around and be like, what did you want to do? And I didn't say cosmetics. I said, I want to work in the hospital. But all my girlfriends knew that I obviously wanted to do cosmetics. Yeah. Then I graduated and I contacted contour clinics. You guys weren't looking at the time for a nurse, but I emailed. I sent through my resume, and then I had a meeting with you and Ben in Newtown. After that meeting, I was told, we'll get back to you. We're actually not hiring at the moment. Yeah. And then Ben contacted me and said, Josh is very eager to train you. So I had experience in the cosmetic field, like the plastic surgeon I worked for, he had done injectables and I was around it. We also had a nurse at the time. And I was still very eager, knew that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to become a cosmetic nurse. Yes. And then I was fortunate enough to have you train me. So you trained me for up to 6 months.
It was a long time.
It was a weekly.
A lot of training.
Yeah, it was a weekly training. It was very hands-on. I had many patients or clients at the time that we were training on, which I'm very grateful for. Thank you. And we got to the point where you were confident and comfortable in me, obviously going ahead and treating my own clients. Yeah. From then, we obviously had the companies come out who provide the fillers and the anti-wrinkles. And then I had training with each company that we stock here at Contour. Yes. And then from then, you always provide us with education classes and training.
I was speaking to one of the filler companies the other day, and they told us that in 1 year, they'd provided 71 training sessions for us.
Wow.
So those sessions go for 4 hours each.
Yeah, wow.
So, and that's just one company. We have 4 major providers here.
Yeah.
So in terms of the training that...
I was constantly having training.
That's offered, some of our nurses are like, I'm a bit overtraining.
I love it. I love it.
I like it as well.
But for the first 3 years, I was constantly having the training. And it's because you're having different areas, and different trainees come.
It's a specialty. It's like a full-on specialty. This field, like it's people think it's easy, but there's a lot of technical.
A lot of people think it's easy, and I say it's not as easy as it looks, because
it does. A lot of technical skill that goes into this, and these are prescription medications. They are, procedures that are delivered to the face that do carry risk.
Exactly.
And hence the reason why we spent so much time together training is to make sure that our patients are safe with anyone that that treats our patients here. It's an interesting thing hearing your story about how you got into the field. It's something I notice common about people who succeed in this industry or even in medicine in general, is that you're keen, very keen,
And
you
that's
get
how I've always
involved.
been,
You go and you've basically done an internship during your nursing degree with a plastic surgeon, and it's so competitive in this space now. Like I have nurses approach me weekly,
I can imagine.
and then I kind of refer them on to. I tell them about your story and how keen you were and how you obviously really wanted it. And I think if you don't really, really want this, it's probably not for you,
100%.
because it's a very difficult road.
And a lot of people contact me and they're like, oh, I have clients come through and they're like, you're so lucky. And I don't mind the word lucky, but I'm like, I'm not lucky. I worked so hard for this. I studied, I had constant training, and yes, sometimes there is luck, but in this aspect, I'm not lucky. Till this day, I work so hard. And
exactly.
I feel like it's not luck. If you're motivated and you're determined, then good things will happen.
Well, look, I mean, is it luck or is that you've just prepared for an opportunity?
Exactly.
You know, so when the opportunity presented itself, you'd already worked so hard that you were ready to snap it up.
And I forever say I'm so grateful for Contour, obviously, and yourself, because possibly I wouldn't be here without you. So I am very grateful. But I did, at the same time, it's not luck. If you train hard, you work hard, then good things come.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, definitely. It's the other thing that I found interesting that you said, and I think this is an important part about cosmetic medicine in general. You mentioned that you were a dancer, and
Definitely retired now.
my partner Emma is also a dancer, and there's a lot of. It's a very common space for like, and I don't want to be controversial saying this, but there's a bit of body dysmorphia in the dancing industry itself, and we really struggle with that in cosmetics, like to making sure people are safe to have treatments, people aren't, because, you know, there's the whole body thing and keep you skinny and whatever else, but then that can extend into how the face looks. And when you start getting filler or Botox or something like that on the face, then you start to really overanalyze your face as well. And it's good to have that insight into the mind of someone that could end up down.
Exactly.
Look, I mean, I know myself when I've gotten fillers before, and I can sit at the gym and just look at my face in the mirror.
Well, you saw me yesterday. Yesterday I was in the room checking myself out, and you walked past. You're like, what are you doing? I'm like, just checking out my chin filler.
But it's completely normal. And I had a time where one of our nurses had done a treatment on me, and I could have sworn she messed it up. Yeah. And I was like in the mirror of the gym every day, like looking at myself, just thinking, oh God, you know, I can't believe she did this to me. And then I saw a photo from 10 years earlier, and I had that there. You know, so I'm like, oh,
I taught all my clients
I've become one of those people. But that's where it's like the whole insight into the ability of people to kind of think a bit funny about their face, because there's often parts of our face that we don't even recognize. We might look at ourselves in the mirror every day and not see that there's an issue there. And it may be very small, but then when we get filler, and especially if you spend a bit of money on it, then you oversee, oh, hang on, what's this? Was that line there before?
Exactly right.
You know?
And that's the power of taking before photos, and we see this all the time. And
Definitely.
And we're so grateful that we have, obviously, our 3D imaging where we can definitely show a client prior. And I always bring this up to them, because they will come back and they'll be like, oh, I noticed this, or I didn't have this before. And then you'll get up that photo and then you'll be like, here it is. And I do it. So we all do it.
We all do it, yeah.
And we look at ourselves every day in the mirror, and some people don't see change, or some people see good or bad. So,
Yeah, look, and it's a very natural thing. And I guess a part of our industry is all about managing expectations. I think that's where most of the skill of an injector comes in, being able to match their or the patient's expectations with my skill. And if there's a mismatch there, identifying it early and having that conversation before you are to touch the patient, because then that saves a lot of stress on the patient's behalf afterwards if they expect a treatment outcome and you don't provide it. And also, I mean, as a practitioner, it's never nice to sit across from an unhappy person. You know, that's not what we get into this field for. So how do you go about managing expectations?
Well, funny you say that, because I get asked all the time from clients or other healthcare professionals saying, oh, why do you ever get like crazy clients, or do you get clients that are very unhappy? And I say, knock on wood, I actually rarely do. And I say, they go, why? I go, it's probably my approach, how I manage the expectations, telling them it's a journey. There's no rush to get a desired result. And I feel as if one, I'm very ethical and I think of it as anything. Would I do that on myself? No. So why should I do that on a client?
Of course.
And being like really honest and upfront with them as well. And building a relationship. Like, yes, there's a healthcare professional client, obviously, relationship.
Definitely.
But yeah, being upfront, real and realistic. And I have to say I'm very, very, very blessed. Like, I have such great clients, and very rarely do we have someone who has a different view on something or is disappointed. And I just see it as, what's the treatment got to do? What are we targeting? And as well, not overdoing something.
Yeah, what's your goal of treatment? I guess that's
Exactly.
the thing I've asked people first. But it's interesting you say you're blessed that you have nice patients. I think it's probably more of a reflection of you.
It's
in
what
terms
you
of the
attract.
patients, what exactly, that's the point I was going to make. So you can be, because someone was saying to me the other day, oh, look, this, is at another clinic, there's this doctor who's a bit of a jerk or whatever. And I'm like, that's fine, because that person will have a whole heap of jerks that love him.
100%.
And he's a jerk, you'll love them. And they'll attract like for like. I mean, I know that when I was a medical student, I'd sit in with these general practitioners that were just real difficult people, but all their patients were difficult people, and they all seemed to attract each other, and that GP had a great day and the patients had a great time seeing them. And it was like, you will find your people in this space. And in cosmetics, I mean, there's so many people out there that do cosmetics now.
There is so many.
It'd be a decent proportion of the population, and they come from all walks of life. And there's really like someone for everyone. And it reminds me, it's similar, not the same. But when I see my barber, these guys.
Are you loyal?
Look, I'm loyal to these guys.
Is that the
guy
one next to our jeweler?
Yeah, they are actually. Yeah, but they're. I hope they don't watch this actually, but they do. The last few ones I've been really happy with their haircut.
Okay, good.
But for a while there, the haircuts were good. They weren't the world's best haircuts, but I really liked the experience.
Why? What's the
Because they
experience?
were
You
just
go.
funny young Lebanese fellas, and they were just
We're a
like
good
just
kind.
a laugh. We had a great time every time I was there.
Yeah.
They tell me some story about a Tinder date or something.
Yeah, something
and
new.
It
The
was
story
something new
changes.
every time, and it was like I liked that experience.
Yeah.
And being on the receiving end of an experience like that, I think about that when I'm providing a consultation, and that it's not. It is an experience for the patient.
Agreed, yeah.
So from the time they walk in the door, I want them to have a nice experience. I want them to be greeted with a smile. I want them to have a nice, warm drink or whatever they want. And they come into me, and there is a very professional relationship, but also it's friendly. It's nice. There's chat. There's banter. There's something else going on there that.
Which makes them comfortable. They trust
Comfortable
the person.
because the thing is, some of these treatments require. Some invasiveness. There might be thread lifts. There may be a more intensive laser. We may be putting filler in the face with a long cannula, and it can
not
be
always a breeze.
Can be anxiety provoking.
Yeah.
So to have that kind of little bit of banter and relationship with the patient, I feel it's definitely helpful, and that's why I think
Agreed.
you probably do so well with your patients as well, because
I try and make them
like
feel
you.
as comfortable. Yeah. Majority of them, like, I
helps.
feel really comfortable within this treatment, and they go, yeah, some treatments definitely are not the best. Like, they are painful.
Of course, yeah.
But if you can keep that person at ease, it's good.
Yeah, look, I think it's an essential part of the consultation
Definitely
and the
the
treatment,
experience too,
and I
yeah.
feel like it's underemphasized a lot in terms of how important that is, especially in our space. I mean, we are a private cosmetic facility.
It's all about
So
the experience.
this is like, you should have 5-star hotel service.
Agreed. I agree.
So there's
From the moment you call, book in, walk in.
and there's value at every single step of the process, and I think for a lot of people in medicine, that does get lost in the hospital system, and it's no one's fault in particular, but it's a harsh environment to work in. It's the long hours with terrible pay,
Shift
bad
work.
conditions. You're not treated very well. I know at least I wasn't treated. I mean, treated very fairly and whatever, but in terms of, I've worked in private businesses outside of medicine, and the way I'm treated outside, is very different to how you're treated in the hospital. So you can get a little bit burnout from those things. So the experience that people may have with a doctor in the hospital or a nurse in the hospital may not be the same, because they're understaffed and overstressed.
Definitely. I remember during my placements and when I worked in the hospital during COVID, that kitchen,
Brutal.
that tea room, all the nurses
Savage.
were constantly, they're talking shit about each other.
Yeah,
They're depressed. They hate their job.
Yes.
It was just a constant cycle to the point where I'm like, I'm actually not going to go into that tea room and have my lunch. I'm going to go elsewhere and that's what made me realize I definitely want to do cosmetics as well, was just because they were constantly complaining, which it is, it's harsh on them. They have shift work, they have patient load and all that stuff. But it was just an eye-opener because they were just, they hated their jobs.
So you've finished uni. So you've gone to uni, you've done your placement with your local plastic surgeon, you've got experience in all kinds of non-invasive energy-based devices and a few other dermal therapy treatments. Then you started, so what was your first job in the hospital? What did you do then?
So I went and did a course, a 4-day course in Brisbane on cosmetics, which I forgot. Yes, I did that.
Yeah, there you go.
The dermal medical.
That's right.
Yeah. And then during this period was COVID. So I started off with you. I was training whilst working at a day hospital in recovery and theatres. Then from then, I started working full-time at Contour.
Yes.
Then COVID hit. We shut. So I went back and worked in the day hospital for however long we were closed for.
It was
a while.
Yeah, it was quite
so I was in recovery in theatres for that period, which I actually was very happy about because I learned a lot, both clinical. And it was a really good experience, and I was grateful that I could still continue to work during COVID. And so I worked at this day hospital full time, and then once we reopened, I did give up that job, and I continued to work at Contour full time, and that was my process. But yeah, I did do a course prior to meeting you.
Yeah, I remember that. What do you love most about doing injectables?
There's a lot. Firstly, it's definitely the patient outcome and result. Like I see there's many clients who they lack that confidence, whether that's due to very evident asymmetry to the face or little things like they feel as if that their chin is reclined, which is making their nose look more projected, and they can't take photos on the side. And it's just, I think definitely the patient outcome, and just crazy to me till this day that we can just create such a difference in someone's confidence with the use of dermal fill and anti-wrinkle.
Definitely.
And just creating more beauty as well. And a lot of them feel a certain way, or they might be down, or things are happening in their life. We do this little treatment, dermal fill and anti-wrinkle, and they just feel so much better about themselves, whether that's just speaking to someone front on, or taking photos, or on their wedding day, or if they've been through a traumatic traumatic issue in their life, and then they've come here and they've had a few sessions of, could be skin treatments as well, like acne scarring or scars from post-trauma or accidents. But the main thing is definitely just patient outcomes, so the results that I achieve and just the confidence that someone gets post these treatments.
Yeah, no, it is pretty special.
And like I don't think I've ever had a sick day from work.
Really?
Ever. No. I'll come to work and
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'll be sick, but that's just because I love to come to work. Like I never, maybe catch up with me in 10 years' time. It's been 4 years, so maybe give me another 5 years, but
well, that's pretty
love
good
to come
longevity.
to work. It is, yeah. I love to come to work. Like, I don't wake up and like, I dread going to work. And I speak to a few of my girlfriends around my age gap. They can't say the same.
No, it's definitely true.
I really, really enjoy my work, and I love coming to work.
Yeah, look, I'm exactly the same. I mean, most of my friends are doctors that become specialists in the hospital, and when we talk about our respective work lives, look, don't get me wrong, they've got very cool jobs, and there's some parts of it that are very exciting and intellectually stimulating, but they don't talk about their jobs like I talk about mine. You know, I really enjoy coming to work, and I mean, for me, it's an opportunity to meet 10, 15 different people every day
Exactly.
and talk rubbish and
So many stories.
and meet people
So
with very
many
interesting
stories,
backgrounds.
yeah.
And here you touched on something interesting before, was the people's motivations for getting things done. I mean, to feel better. And a lot of the times people will come in and I don't know if you've, I know for myself, I go to like get a nice beard trim and a haircut and a law off, I've done my teeth or something.
Oh, yeah.
It's just
That's my
it's
Friday
like
ritual.
you're pampering yourself. It just feels nice.
Yeah.
And if you're putting your best face forward, and I mean, your face is something you're showing everybody. It's like, which I find very interesting. There's still a bit of taboo around this field, around if you're doing injectables or whatever else, it's kind of frowned upon in a lot of ways. But
It's changed a lot, though.
it has changed a lot.
Yeah.
We can definitely see that now. But the same people that frown upon you for doing that would not question you putting a new bumper on your car that looks really nice.
Exactly right.
So it's very interesting. But I do think that's definitely changing that field, and especially the way we like to do things, which is very ethical, very natural, and because this industry is the Wild West. I mean, there is a lot of poorly trained people out there that do
And we see that when patients come in.
a 1 or 2 day course, and they get out. They don't have, like yourself, 6 months of intensive training every single week. Our clinic's running over 200 sessions of 4-hour training. That's like 4 a week. That's at least 10 to 15 hours of live training a week. There's no other clinic in the country that do that. And that's, I think, should be mandated. I think that there should be rules around training and
I'm constantly saying that as well. I agree. I definitely agree. It's like you finish your Bachelor of Nursing and then it's just an open air and it's just the unknown. Like there has to be something where regulations, exactly like getting a Bachelor of Nursing degree, you do that 860 hours, there needs to be something implemented.
Well, I mean, currently you can leave your nursing degree and the next day go straight into injectables. So you can go and you don't need to do a course. Yeah. You can just go straight in. But me as a doctor, I can't finish medical school and do that. So I have to go and do a year internship minimum before I can do it.
I know.
Which is so weird.
I know. It's
that
crazy.
As a nurse, that I can go straight in after nursing school.
New grad,
but I can't go straight in after being a doctor. And I don't think you should as a doctor. I think you should have extensive training in this field.
Agreed, yeah.
So it is very interesting. So question, you're a nurse out there. Say you're just finishing nursing school and you're hell-bent on getting into cosmetic injectables. What would be your suggestion?
So I would do my research, and now in this present time, there are actually many courses that when I first started leading you into cosmetics. There's some courses that run for a year and they do practical and educational, or there's courses that run for a few days. Do one of these courses, get the basics, and they are only teaching you the basics. I have a few clients that have done a 1-year course, paid an X amount, and I'm injecting them and they still don't get it. And I'm thinking, you've just studied 1 year and they still don't have that knowledge, but still do the course, learn the basics, then reach out to any cosmetic clinics who are willing to hire you, because it's still, you don't actually have any experience doing these courses, so you're still at that stage where you aren't experienced, and then see whether they're willing to do what Josh did for me and train you. It's very hard, and I'm constantly getting asked. I get so many DMs.
I bet you do.
How did you do it? How did you do it? How did you do it?
Yeah.
It's hard. But yeah, definitely do your courses, and we're very lucky as nurses now that there are more educational courses for cosmetics. Do those courses and then go from there. Still complete your new grad, I would say, because my clinical knowledge is very useful. So definitely still do your new grad. Whilst doing your new grad, do those courses and then go from there.
Yeah, I really like the idea of you spending some time in the hospital. That's a good idea. And I think some of our best nurses, they either have a background in intensive care or in emergency, because you do work reasonably independently in those fields. You do some assessments as a nurse, because you're going to come out and see patients basically independently. There will be doctors scripting and supervising the procedure, but it's really you are one-on-one with the patients. I've got another tip. is that, and one thing I remember when we had our first interview, the thing that kind of got you across the line for me is that you'd obviously done your research. So you knew about people like Tim Pierce, you knew about people like Stephen Liu.
Tim, yeah.
You mentioning those names really helped and you telling me about watching their videos and those things. Because you got to think, for someone like me in these clinics, I'm getting approached by lots of nurses. And if we're going to invest time in teaching you, I need to know you're like crazy keen.
Yeah, the amount of anatomy books I purchased.
Yeah.
Everything I was doing behind the scenes.
Every YouTube video.
I was constantly, I still do.
Every course.
Yeah.
I mean, look, for those of us that like the industry, I watch a video every day at least. I'm reading papers every day.
Do you know what's funny?
I just really like the industry.
My partner knows a lot of things now because he can hear. He'll go up to someone and be like, you could have chin filler. I said, Josh, my partner's name's Josh. I'm like, Josh, you can't say that to someone.
Maybe get him working here.
He'll be good. He'll be our next practice manager. He's too big of a boy. He'll scare everyone off. But it's so funny because I'm constantly watching or learning. So the poor guy has to hear as well. But I'm like, just from now on, you can't go tell people. You can't be my sales. Like, they need lip filler, they need chin filler.
That's good.
Like, it's not
good
nice.
For business. Thanks so much for joining us today. Really appreciate your time. And thanks so much, everyone, for tuning in. Stay tuned for another exciting episode of The Doctor's Take on Aesthetics next time.